Picture being on a quiet evening off. You open up your game library craving something nostalgic. Maybe it's a game that you've picked up in a Steam sale years ago, or something that you used to play every night after school. You click play, and then there's nothing there but an error message telling you that the servers are down and that the game is no longer available. Not because of any bugs or outdated hardware or compatibility issues, but because the publisher has made a decision to kill the game, essentially shutting down the servers and revoking your access. And in this moment, something clicks inside your head. This game, and many others inside your library, you cannot play anymore, some of which you've actually purchased at full price. But even besides the ones that you can't play anymore, you've now realized that everything that you own digitally within this game library, you don't actually own. You've just simply had the permission to play it until the developers and the publishers said that you couldn't anymore. And that's what this video is going to be about. We're going to explore how we got here, why it matters more than ever, and how we as players can actually do something about it. Before we get into that though, everyone loves buying games, but what's better than buying games is buying games at better prices, and that's exactly what you can do through today's video sponsor, Instant Gaming. These guys are not a marketplace and they get their keys from official suppliers, so unlike the other key sites that are out there, you never have to worry about getting a dodgy game key that doesn't work. I want to point out some games that I would personally recommend that have really good prices on Instant Gaming. For example, there's No Man's Sky for £15, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart for under £20, and finally Death Stranding Director's Cut for only £11. Find many more great deals using my link below, and if you purchase anything there, you will directly support the channel. Also, if you want the chance to win a game of your choice, then join the giveaway link also in the description to participate in this month's Instant Gaming giveaway, specifically made for you, the viewer. Now let's get back to the video. Let me first take you back to Little Big Planet. It's one of my all-time favourite games, a game built on player creativity with thousands of levels all handcrafted by fans. Most of you know that Little Big Planet got its popularity from this fact, the fact that you could build levels and overall just share your creativity with the world. But of course all of this was tied to a server, and when those servers were shut down by Sony, it didn't just break the game, it broke an entire community. It wiped out years of creativity with a flick of a switch. Luckily, when there's fans for a series though, that usually means that some heroes step up to make things right, and for Little Big Planet, community projects like Beacon have brought a lot of it back. Hundreds of games have been closed down over the years, and as we go more and more into a digital age where everything seems to be a live service game at this point, things are starting to get a little bit scary. This also isn't just happening to niche online titles either. Publishers have increasingly designed their games to rely on servers they control. And whilst this video is more about online games rather than single player games, a lot of single player games actually now do have connection to a server. All of this essentially just creates a single point of failure. When support ends, so does access. That's not a glitch, it's by design, and it's called planned obsolescence. They sell you something that does not have a stated expiration date, and yet it expires the moment that they choose. In July of 2022, the gaming community as a whole had quite a big reality check when Assassin's Creed Liberations HD was suddenly delisted from Steam. People that had bought it before that date could actually still access it, but it made people realize how little control we have over our own games. What worries me about this though is not the games being delisted, but it's games like Hitman 3, Gran Turismo 7, Quantum Break, Diablo 3 and Halo Infinite. These are all games that have single player content that requires an internet connection. If the servers go down, then entire games, or big chunks of them, could disappear. And publishers often make it impossible for fans to preserve or restore these titles. They lock down tools, they block mods, they prevent repair. It gets worse, and of course the story still includes Ubisoft at the helm, but trust me, they are not the only offenders. In 2024, Ubisoft's director of subscriptions outright said that we should get comfortable with not owning our games, that digital borrowing like Ubisoft Plus and Game Pass subscriptions should be the future. And legally, publishers agree. In court, Ubisoft's lawyers agreed that when you buy a game like The Crew, you are not buying the game, you are buying a temporary license to access it, and that license can be revoked at any time. If you let that sink in for a second, you are paying full price for a product, only to be told later that it's no longer yours. Now, if I said that exact same thing about any other industry or even products that people rely on, like medicine or electrical equipment, could you imagine the outrage? This isn't just about games, it's about ownership. It's about whether companies can sell you a product and then destroy it later. And that's where Stop Killing Games come in. They are a movement that describes this as a radical assault on the customer's rights. When this model becomes normalized, it could extend far beyond games. It could extend to educational tools, agriculture equipment, even medical devices. And also, if we look at it from a cultural perspective, it's also devastating that this is going to start happening more because games are art. Think of all of the hard-working developers that work on every single title that goes in. Even the ones that may be messy or mixed reviews or bad, there's still been so much work that goes into them. And imagine if every copy of a book was erased, every painting was burnt, or every film was deleted. We'd call it cultural destruction, and yet it's happening to games regularly. Here's the thing though, this isn't an impossible problem to solve. The movement isn't asking for developers to unrealistically keep servers online forever, they're asking for a basic level of consumer protection. The ask is really simple if you think about it like this. When you decide to stop supporting a game, provide a version that can work offline or can be hosted by fans. That's it. It's not a security risk, it doesn't give up the intellectual property, but it just gives players the ability to keep playing what they paid for. And I think some of you might think this is perhaps a bit unrealistic, but Knockout City did it, as well as Gran Turismo Sport and Mojang Scrolls, so why can't others do it too? Knockout City is a great example of a game that was shut down and the developers gave the tools in order to host their own private servers. They even gave really good instructions on how to do it yourself, making it really easy for fans to make this game live on forever. Even MMOs can be preserved to a certain extent. There are projects to revive Star Wars Galaxy or City of Heroes, and these prove that fans will carry the torch when given the chance. It's important to understand the difference between the fans doing it though, between the publishers doing it, because the fans do not own the intellectual property of the game. I'm no lawyer, but it's pretty common sense that you can't take someone else's intellectual property and make your own version of it that players can play, even if it's not making any money. Also, before we go forward, I think it's important that I put a little disclaimer here that this video is not sponsored by Stop Killing Games in any way. A member of their community just saw my channel and reached out to me and said that if I wanted to make a video in order to help them out, then they'd greatly appreciate it. And after looking through all of it, it's something that I truly believe in, and it's something that I think all of you should get behind. And also, if you're into game preservation or restoring them, enhancing them, or just, thinking back on them fondly, then that's exactly the kind of content that I offer here on Retro Renew. So if you're not subscribed already, make sure to get subscribed and also set on notifications so that you don't miss anything. Anyways, back to Stop Killing Games. There's currently a European Citizens Initiative. If enough EU citizens sign this, it could force new laws requiring publishers to keep games playable after support ends. The same can be said for the UK petition as well. This issue lives in a little bit of a grey area right now. In the US, games are really treated as licenses, but in many countries, laws aren't really clear, and consumer protection might offer stronger rights. The proposed law wouldn't apply retroactively, so some older games are already lost, but if passed, they could protect future releases and finally force companies to design games with proper end-of-life plans from the very beginning. So, what can you do as a player? If you live in the EU or UK, sign the petition, which will be linked down in the description. I also want you to tell your story in the comments. What games have you lost in the past? And if you have any questions about all of this, the best person to answer these questions is no other than Ross Scott, who is the founder of all of this. On his website there is an FAQ that has tons of questions that people ask and really detailed answers. Or the Accursed Farms YouTube channel is owned by Ross Scott, and there he has loads of videos explaining everything about the movement. So let's be real, the idea that a product that you buy today could disappear tomorrow is absurd. Games deserve to be remembered, they deserve to be playable, and we as consumers deserve the right to keep what we paid for. So let's stop killing games before more of them are gone for good. And thank you so much for anyone that made it this far into the video. Big thanks to all of the Patreons that are on screen now. You all keep the channel going, and if you want to join them, you can do so for just £1 a month. You'll get stuff like some behind the scenes content here and there through members only videos, a Discord role in the server, and much more to come. Also, there's many tiers that are priced all differently, but all of them offer the same perks, so just think of it as a way to support me however much you want. If you're new here, like I said, Retro is all about giving older games a second life through stuff like mods, comparisons, upgrades, or retrospects. And if that sounds like your thing, then maybe get subscribed. And hey, if you want a great example of what this channel's about, check out my best way to play Metal Gear Solid 1 video. I'll see you over there.